This video is brought to you by hoodbeast.com. Design your own custom hoodies. hoodbeast.com. We are beast.
What's up, everybody? It's Seth from Fowler Customs, and today I'm reviewing the brand new Adidas Nmd Xr1 in the OG colorway. Thanks so much for tuning in today, guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't yet, but with all that being said, let's get into it. So ever since this shoe, the original Nmd Xr1, dropped in this black, blue, and red colorway, this colorway has been really sought after. We've seen different iterations on different models, like the Chukka version of this shoe. We've also seen a white upper version of this shoe, and honestly, they all look really clean. And finally, after 2 years, we have the OG colorway on the new Nmd Xr1. So here it is, the newest Nmd Xr1 in the OG or black, blue, and red colorway. I think the shoe is really, really clean, and it's not just because of the hype behind the colorway. I think this black, blue, and red just looks so simple and so understated. I love it. Jumping right into the shoe, you've got this black prime knit one-piece upper. The prime knit on the new Nmd Xr1 is very similar to what they did on the original R1, except it seems to be a little bit more tightly knit. One thing you'll notice when you look really closely at the prime knit on this Xr1 is that it still has the ridges of that glitch camo that's on every other colorway, but because it's all in one color, you can't see it from far away at all. You can only really see it when you look at it up close and in the right light. Moving up the shoe, you've got your flat black laces in the midfoot, and then you've got the Adidas logo stitched onto the tongue. The logo is debossed into this leather material, and I actually think it looks really nice. Of course, being an Nmd Xr1, you still have these TPU cages on either side of the shoe. An interesting detail about these cages is that on the lateral side of the shoe, you actually have real mesh in the middle of the cage, whereas on the medial side of the shoe, it's just a debossed mesh pattern on the actual TPU itself. I'm not sure exactly why they did that. It's kind of a weird touch, and it's also something I mentioned on my original Xr1 review, so if you guys want to check that out, click the link at the top of the screen. Something I prefer about the Xr1 over the R1 is that the Xr1's cage provides more lockdown than these sort of almost glued on or tacked on eyelets. The reason for that is on the R1, when you tighten the laces, all it really does is bunch up the material in the midfoot, whereas on the Xr1, because the cage is actually a separate piece than the rest of the upper, when you tighten the laces, it actually tightens the cage itself and doesn't bunch any of the material. To be honest, although I really like the cage for its function, I don't love the way it looks. I would have preferred if Adidas had done something like they did on the Ultra Boost, where it had the 3 stripes and not this sort of weird mesh in the middle. That kind of takes away from the simplicity of the shoe for me, and I just don't love the way it looks. Inside the shoe, you've got the same insole that you have on all the other NMDs, which, to be honest, isn't even really an insole. It's just a really thin piece of material that separates your foot from the Boost. It doesn't really do anything for comfort, but the Boost is comfortable enough, and if you really need an insole, just take one of the insoles out of your Ultra Boost. The upper itself doesn't really have any padding, but the prime knit's stretchy enough that it feels pretty comfortable on its own. As with all other prime knit NMDs, I definitely suggest going down half a size because these fit pretty big. If you don't have any other pairs of Nmd Xr1s, I definitely suggest trying on a different colorway, or honestly even the regular R1 because it fits very similarly. Unlike the Nmd R1, you don't have that sock-like ankle collar, which some people love, some people hate. I'm kind of indifferent to it. It doesn't change the fit or anything, it's just an aesthetic touch. Moving around to the back of the shoe, you've got your heel counter in this leather-like material. Of course, you've still got the pull tab that says the brand with 3 stripes in a couple different languages. The main difference between the two colorways is that on the new Xr1, the pull tab is in white, and on the original R1, it's in black. When I posted a picture of these online, a surprising amount of people said that they didn't like this white pull tab. To be honest, it doesn't really bother me at all. I mean, it's just kind of different, and if you really don't like it, you can probably dye it or paint it black, you know, whatever you need to do. Moving down the shoe, you've got that famous Nmd Boost midsole. The Xr1 seems to be ever so slightly shorter than the regular R1, but comfort-wise, you won't even notice it. The most noticeable difference on the midsole between the new Xr1 versus the R1 is that the front blue EVA plug on the side of the shoe is flush with the Boost on the Xr1, whereas it pops out on the R1. You also don't have the Adidas logo printed on the new version like you did on the original. Not a big difference, but I figured I'd mention it. Color-wise, the plugs are ever so slightly different shades of red and blue than the original, but it's really not noticeable unless you have the 2 shoes next to each other. Again, not really important, just thought I'd mention it. And finally, moving to the bottom of the shoe, you've got that same tractionless Nmd Xr1 outsole. This time around, it's in black. Overall, I actually really like this shoe. I think this colorway looks awesome on the Xr1, and I'm really glad they did it. It kind of makes sense that the Xr1 was the shoe to get this colorway, because if you look at the Nmd R2 or the CS2, neither of them actually have these plugs. So if you just put a black prime knit upper on the shoe, it would just kind of look like a black Nmd CS2. So even though the the R2 is a newer silhouette, I feel like Adidas had to do it on the XR1s. Comfort-wise, these are great. As I mentioned before, definitely go down half a size or try the shoe on if you can. If you're trying to grab this pair for yourself, you might get lucky and find it in a couple different stores, or there might be restocks online. If you have to grab them for resale, honestly, right now resale is like $200, so it's really not bad. I mean, you really can't go wrong grabbing this shoe. Now that we've got the review out of the way, let's throw these guys on feet and see how they look. That's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Make sure to leave a comment in the comment section down below letting me know what you think of the Nmd Xr1 Og and whether you prefer it to the R1. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to Fowler Customs if you want to see more content just like this, and follow Fowler Customs on Snups, Instagram, and on Twitter.